Klopp loses face to a ball boy. There's Derby Day madness in North London. 3 European leagues are closer to being won. There's transfer rumours from around Europe. Zlatan and the MLS are back. And of course, we look back on your Friday feels. All of that and more coming up in the next few minutes as I'm your host, Matt Froelich. You are the One Footballers and this is the Daily News. First up and to the Merseyside derby yesterday, which yet again lived up to the billing of not being a very good derby. Now, it's no offence to either side, but when it comes to the actual game, it's just never as interesting as, say, the Manchester derby or the North London derby. Earlier in the season, it was a pretty drab 0-0 until Pickford messed up and Divock Origi managed to just edge it for Liverpool, and we didn't see too much of an interesting game yesterday as the score finished 0-0 at Goodison Park. This means there have been a few times in the last few weeks that Liverpool have failed to score, and that doesn't bode too well for them heading into the Champions League second leg against Bayern Munich. As for the league table, well, because of Manchester City's win, Liverpool are now 1 point behind City, despite at the end of December being 10 points clear in the title race. There are, of course, 9 games to go, so things aren't looking too good for Jurgen Klopp on that front, and they looked even worse at the end of the game when Evertonian ball boy clapped him off sarcastically and then gave him a big thumbs up, to which Klopp really couldn't do nothing. I mean, let's face it, he wasn't going to beat up a kid live on TV. But away from that derby into the North London derby, where yet again there was drama. As if we hadn't had a good enough game early in the season where Arsenal ran out 4-2 victors, well, this time it was an enthralling 1-1 draw with penalties and decisions galore. So let's go through a few of them. Okay, first off, Harry Kane's penalty. Was he in an offside position? Yes, absolutely he was. He was leaning forward and definitely offside. Was it a penalty though? Yes, it was a penalty. Mustafi, for as good a defender as he can be, made such a stupid decision. He wasn't goal side of Harry Kane and decided to barge into the back of him to stop him getting the ball, which, to be honest, it looked like he wasn't even going to get in the first place. So yes, it was a penalty. I have seen a few people on social media saying that Harry Kane wasn't in fact offside because even though he was in an offside position, he didn't commit the offside act of going for the ball until he was fouled. The foul came first, meaning that stands over the offside. For me, I don't quite buy this. I think Kane was offside because every single player that's in the box is running with the intention of getting on the end of the free kick. So technically, everyone's in an offside position once the ball is played. Next up, and to Aubameyang's penalty, where that was never a penalty. I'm sorry, it looked ridiculously soft. I know you've seen them given before, but he basically ran the ball too far, it was going out of play, and he decided to use the smallest of touches from Davinson Sanchez to basically dive. That was never enough to knock him over for the rest of the tussle, but at the end, as I said, once he lost the ball, he went over. Justice was served when Hugo Lloris palmed it away, and even as he missed the rebound, well, it was a pretty bad day for Arsenal at the end. Overall, 1-1 result is pretty fair. Oh, and very quickly, for those of you talking about encroachment or players running in too early, it happened on both penalties. It's just that Kane managed to stick his away. Oh, and lastly but not least in the North London derby, Torreira's red card was pretty harsh, I thought. He did catch Danny Rose just below the knee. However, it was the follow-through from the tackle. First off, he won the ball and his foot bounced up and went off in another direction. I think it was a pretty harsh red card, and I wouldn't be surprised if it got rescinded by the FA. But talking of red cards, and we move on to a quick roundup of the rest of the European football, where 3 leagues are pretty much sewn up already. Juventus beat Napoli 2-1 yesterday to move 16 points clear of Serie A. Cristiano Ronaldo ran through on goal, was taken out by the goalkeeper, which resulted in a red card. Pjanic scored the free kick, and from then on, Juventus never looked like losing until the last minute when Lorenzo Insigne smashed the ball against the post from the penalty spot. That would have made the score 2-2, but it didn't, and just Juventus' luck that they managed to come away with all 3 points. This season, 16 points clear, as I said, and Serie A is pretty much done and dusted. And in Liga, well, it's no surprise that PSG won again. Kylian Mbappe scored again. He scored 2 goals, in fact. And PSG are now 17 points clear of Lille with a game in hand. There's not really much more to be said about the French league for this season. It's pretty much PSG's already. As for the third league that's pretty much done, although a little bit closer than the others, it's La Liga. Barcelona beat Real Madrid in the Clásico on Saturday evening to take them 7 points clear of Atletico Madrid and 12 points clear of Real. Of course, 7 points isn't the most ridiculous of leads, and somehow Atletico Madrid may come back to topple Barcelona, but this is Barcelona and I just don't see it happening. As for Real Madrid closing that 12-point gap, well, I don't think it's going to happen. In the last week, in the space of 4 days, they managed to lose 2 Clásicos at home in front of their own crowd without scoring a goal. That's pretty destroying for any club, and I don't think they'll be able to get that margin back. Very quickly though, on to 2 leagues which are a little bit closer. And first off, there's Bundesliga, where Dortmund lost to Augsburg on Friday night, meaning that Bayern Munich managed to draw level. And in the Portuguese First Division, Benfica managed a fantastic victory away at Porto, despite getting a red card, to see them open up a 2-point gap at the top of the league. But moving on to a quick roundup of the transfer news from over the weekend, and Luis Suarez has has recommended his fellow Uruguayan teammate Maxi Gomez to his former side Liverpool in a deal for around £35 million. Elsewhere, Gareth Bale's value has dropped to around £63 million ahead of a potential Bernabeu exit in the summer. Inter Milan are still interested in bringing in Manchester United right back Matteo Darmian for around £9.5 million. And lastly but not least, Pep Guardiola has admitted that he will have to break Manchester City's transfer record if he's to bring in Thiago from Bayern Munich. And quickly, before we get into a roundup of your Friday feels, the MLS is back, and that means so is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. The Swedish striker scored the winner for LA Galaxy at the weekend as they started their season with a 2-1 victory. This on the same day that a statue was unveiled of David Beckham outside the stadium. I wonder how long until Zlatan has his own statue. He'll probably end up making it himself. But as for that, we now move on to your Friday feels. This is where we look back at all the predictions that you and I made in Friday's Daily. As for my predictions, well, the North London derby was a draw, like I said. Barcelona didn't win as comfortably as I thought. And as for Liverpool-Everton, well, I put Liverpool down for a 2-0 victory, and that, of course, did not happen. However, as for a few of you guys, well, you got some scores correct. First up, Borverino guessed that Bayern Munich would finish the weekend level on points with Dortmund, and they did after smashing Gladbach 5-1. Next up was Dustin Henderson, who said that Manchester United would beat Southampton, which they did. That was a cracking game, by the way. And that Barcelona would beat Real Madrid. That, of course, happened too. And lastly but not least, a big shout out to Javant Singh, who managed to guess the final positions of the top 6 after the match day. He said that it would end up with Manchester City on top, then Liverpool, then Tottenham, then Man United, then Arsenal, then Chelsea. And that is the top 6 at the close of match day 29 in the Premier League. So that's all we've got time for today, though. Of course, let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. What did you think of the derbies? Which is the best derby in England? Let me know all of that and more down below. You can also smash the like button and click here or here to check out all of the other videos that we've got going on OneFootball. But until next time, I will see you guys later.